afternoon and good morning. This is Sudi Narasimhan. I'm CEO of the Cabin Group, and this is the Cabin Rehab podcast series. With me, I have Lee Hawker, who's the clinical director of the Cabin, has more than 20 years of clinical experience, and we're very fortunate to have with us Gail Porter, who's has a very interesting skill set and talent stack. Not only is Gail a mental health ambassador, but also a very well-known TV presenter and a comedian. So I will turn it over to Lee and for Lee and Gail to have a conversation. Over to you guys.
Thanks, Sudi. Hi, Gail.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. It's been such a long time. I'm not sure if you remember that we
It's been ages.
it's been ages and ages, hasn't it? Let's jump into these questions I've got for you. Some of which were put together by myself and the team, and some which we sought we sought advice. What would you like to ask Gail Porter if you had one question for her? So yeah, the first question I've got for you is really around your openness and honesty, speaking about the problems with addiction and mental health issues. And I guess the question is why you think it's important to share your own personal journey with others.
Well, I think it is very important because people don't talk about a lot of things. And as I know about addiction, is that you can quietly sit or have a drink or do something and you don't have to tell anyone. But then it catches up with you. And then when it does catch up with you, it's not great. So, I was fortunate enough to come and see you guys at the cabin. And now I'm doing stand up around the UK and I talk about everything. And, even at the end of the night, when people say, "Would you like a glass of wine?" And I was like, "Do you know what? No." Or the other thing I've been doing recently is I go and ask the bar person, I said, "Can you just give me a glass of water?" And then tell them it's a gin and tonic. And it's just, do you know what? You shouldn't be hiding these things, but sometimes you just think, oh, I can't be bothered to explain it to you. But, I'm living a very happy life. But if I hadn't come to the cabin and met the most wonderful people and just actually put my head into a good mindset and thinking, I'm better than this, we can do this. And so yeah, I just think it's very important to share a story. It's not preaching. I would never say, don't do that, don't do this. Never preach, because that's the worst thing you could possibly do. Just say, do you know what? I've done that. I've been through that. This is how I am now. You've got a choice. If you want to talk to me, I'm all yours.
Yeah. No, I think I like that, because as well as the act of communicating to people through telling your story as well, there's something about hearing yourself say, I don't want to drink. I've done that. I've been there. Or I did it before, and it's not something I do now. I think there's something intrinsically valuable in hearing oneself say that. It's like one's own truth, isn't it? But I think the other thing as well is that as addiction is such an isolating illness, as you were saying there. You can sit and participate, but really when you're carrying that secret or the fear of being found out, the stigma, it's awful. So I think any mechanism by which we can say to people, this is who I am today. I think it's inherently isolating. Yeah.
No, exactly. And the thing about stigma is you probably think about it more yourself. And, if I went to my neighbor and said, "Do you know what? I went through this," you'd be surprised the amount of people go, "So did I." And you
Yeah.
go, "Really?" And people, and you just think, "Oh my gosh, I would never have thought that about you." And they go, "We would not have thought that about you." So now, luckily, my only addiction is cleaning. I know. I love cleaning. It's a little bit annoying, but I think I'm always going to have something. But I thought, I'll take cleaning over drinking, because drinking was just. Do you know what it is? Well, for me personally, it was numbing things out that I didn't want to. I don't want to focus on. I don't want to think about things that had upset me. Childhood, losing parents, losing friends, losing my hair. But do you know what? Now I lost my hair. Love it.
Yeah.
Don't we love it? It's the best thing ever. Took me 2 seconds to get ready this morning. So you know what? You can just turn things around, and like, as I say, never judge, never do anything apart from say, do you know what? I'll listen, you can talk. It takes everyone their own time to
Mm.
process maybe what they're going through and to actually feel the ability that they can share. People can get there if they know that you're listening and they know that they're not under any pressure. So, if I say to my friends, you don't have to tell me anything today, but next week, next month, next year, I'm still here.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's that's an amazing attribute because, as you say, with stigma, I think there's a stigma that's communicated externally from other people, but then there's the felt stigma, the perception of stigma, and I think, as you say, that there's a lot of internal dialogue. It's like a weight. It's a burden. I think
It's
that, that we carry, when that's there, and I think that's one of the things that I've admired about you in your story of everything that you've been through, and then turning into this ambassador, this champion of mental health issues that have really kind of demonstrated to people that, look, it's okay to talk about this stuff. It's okay.
Well, do you know what? I was so fortunate because when I had a big breakdown and I was homeless and everything. And then the BBC phoned me up and said, "Oh, do you want to do a documentary?" And I was like, "Not really. Not no." And then I thought, yeah, do you know what? Yes. Do you know what? I'm going to put it all out there. And I don't care what anyone thinks. And we did it, won a BAFTA, and my daughter said to me, "Mama, did you just win a BAFTA for being nuts?" And I said, "Yeah, I think so." So I got this little BAFTA in my house, and when I got the BAFTA, I remember taking it to like different groups I go to, and I said, "You know what? This is not just for me. This is for all of us together." I spoke out. I'm fortunate because I was given a platform, but you can all speak out. And do you want to borrow the BAFTA? And everyone's like, "Can we?" And I was, "Yeah." So it's been all round. It's been round the houses. Everyone's had a go.
I love I love that your little one was able to say, did you get that BAFTA for being nuts? Because in polite society, I don't think you'd be able to say that, would you, on
No,
any
I don't.
level?
I think it's politically incorrect, but she's 21 now, so she can say what she wants. She worries about me, but the good thing about me and my daughter is that I was honest about when I was drinking, when I was, self-harming, when I was not eating. And I told her once I'd sorted myself out, we sat down and I told her everything. And I said, "I'm not ashamed. I'm a bit embarrassed, but this is what your mum did, and this is what I was, and this is how I am now." I'm glad I did. And yeah, she's my little best buddy. Well, she's not little, she's 5'10". Where did that come from?
That's what happens. They grow, don't they? They
I
get
know. I'm 5'1". I keep looking up to her, going, "Is everything all right up there?"
you referenced where some of the developmental stuff took you. What life experiences do you feel have directly impacted your mental health? Is there anything in particular, or a series of things that happened that culminated in?
I think there was a whole bunch of stuff. I was doing okay in life. And, back in the 90s, it was all fun and, everyone loved everybody and it was great. And then my hair fell out. So the work stopped a little bit. And then I got a divorce, which was not pleasant. And then, yeah, I was paying all my bills and no one was hiring me because I didn't look right. And people were saying, "You need to wear a wig, you don't look." And I thought, I'm not wearing a wig for anyone. I'm not changing myself. And so, yeah, bills were going out, but no money was coming in. And then I found myself kind of on a bench in Hampstead Heath. And I just thought, wow, I never thought that things would get this bad. But it wasn't through any kind of fault of mine. It was just I couldn't get any work. I even went to my local library and I said, "Is there any chance I could get a job?" And they went, "You're Gail Porter." And I went, "Yeah, but I still need to work." And they didn't even hire me, the library. So but yeah, it was just, it was all kind of stuff, circumstances, and me refusing to play by everyone's rules and looking the same way that everyone wanted me to look. And I thought, no, I'm not doing this. And I knew it would turn itself around because I've got faith and I've got hope. And it did.
It did indeed, yeah, it did. And it's there's something unique about that decision, as you say. You know, when you're asked to kind of do this or do that, it's almost like, well, why would I compromise? You know, myself when I've learned to live with myself, don't want to change that. Why would I? You know, we always have to make some concessions in life, but I like that you held that boundary. Yeah, you mentioned about being homeless just now. How did you get back on your feet? How did you come back from that?
Well, to be honest, this is not a great story. But when I was homeless, I didn't give up. To be honest with you, I would have given up if I didn't have a daughter. I just thought there's no point. But I thought I would never, I've dealt with friends that have committed suicide. I've dealt with, you just don't want to put that upon. I understand that it can get on top of people, but when I've got a small person and I just think I can't do that to her. But yeah, so I was completely just desolate, thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know how this is gonna sort itself out. And I was staying on a friend's sofa one time, and she said, Gail, I've just, sorry for laughing because it's just nuts, but she said, I've just had a phone call. And she went, would you like to go on Big Brother? And I was like, no. And she went, they're going to pay you. And I went, yes. So I can laugh about it now, but it was like one of the worst things ever. And I thought, do you know what? I've worked so hard all my life, and now they want me to be on a celebrity program about people living in a house together. And do you know what? I got it. I thought, do you know what? I'll take the cash. And this little flat that I've got, I'm so fortunate. I just thought, all I want is a roof. That's all I need. I don't need anything fancy. I don't need holidays. I don't need anything. I've got my cat, I've got my daughter, I've got a roof over my head. And I think when you've been to the lowest of the low, this is just like I wake up in the morning and think, I'm okay, we're all good. But anyway, so I went into Big Brother and I thought, oh God, this is horrific. And I just kept cleaning and cleaning the entire time I was in there. And there was a guy called Fat Man Scoop that was on it. I don't know if you know him. He sings a song going, put your hands up, put your hands. And every time they were all shouting each other and screaming, and I'd go, would anybody like a cup of tea? And then Fat Man Scoop used to go, man, Gail Porter puts the kettle on, some shit's going down. I was like, oh, that's quite a good t-shirt, isn't it? And then eventually when I got voted out, oh, it's like I thought I was going to be there for a week. I was there for the whole time. I couldn't get out. I kept going into the diary room going, please vote me out. I hate this because if you walk, you don't get paid. So anyway, it got to the day that I got voted out, and I was standing up going, "Woo!" And I ran to the stairs to get out, and everyone's going, "Bye then." I went, "Yeah, whatever." Oh God, yeah, sorry. Yeah, yeah. I just wanted out. And then I spoke to, I think it was Emma Willis that was presenting it. And she said, she went, how was that, Gail? And I said, "Do you know what, Emma? I've been sectioned, and being sectioned was more fun than that." And she was just like, oh, right. I was like, I
That,
don't care what you all think. I want to go. I want to go now.
that's
So
a
yeah, that's what got me back on my feet. So they paid me a little bit of money, and I had enough money to pay rent, and happy days.
was it in 2011 the sectioning came? Was it when that happened?
You know what? I've got no idea. It was about, yeah, you probably know better than me. I'd have to Google it.
What led up to that, and how did it affect you overall?
Well, basically, this is when everything was going wrong. You know, uh, as I said, money wasn't coming in. And so I was sitting on Hampstead Heath, and I made a phone call to an ex of mine. And I said, you know what? I am struggling. And this is back in the day when, I'd been to the doctors and I'd asked for help. And the doctor's like, what are you doing 3 weeks on Thursday or 4 weeks on Thursday? I went, I don't even know what's happening today. So I tried and I asked for help. And then anyway, I was on the heath and I phoned my ex and I said, "Do you know what? I said, I'm not suicidal, but I'm lost and I don't know who to talk to." And then he said, "Oh, don't worry, you just stay there." And then four police officers turned up about an hour or so later and they went, "Are you Gail Porter?" And I went, "No." He went, "Well, we know you are." And I went, "No, I'm definitely not me. Her, Gail, no." And they just took me to hospital and they said, "We don't know what to do with you because you don't have a home and you're obviously depressed. And so we're just going to leave you at the hospital." And I sat there for about 12 hours thinking, I've got no idea. And then they said, "Oh, can your mum sign this?" And I said, "Well, my mum's dead." And they went, "Can your dad sign this?" And I said, "My dad lives in Spain." And they said, "Oh, we're going to sign it on your behalf because you've got no one to look after you and you're going to get sectioned because we've got nowhere else to put you." And I was like, "So I'm getting sectioned for," and they went, "We just don't have anywhere to put you." So yeah, I was sectioned for about 14 or 15 days. And then I didn't see any doctors. It was just security to make sure we didn't get out. Don't know what I was going to do. I'm only 5'1", 6.5 stone. I was like, but tiny ninja. And eventually the doctors came in on day 14 or 15 and they all sat round. Never met any of them, none of them. And they said, "Oh, we'd like to apologize." And I said, "For?" And they said, "Well, you shouldn't be here. We just didn't know what to do with you." So this is like they gave me medication in the morning, 3 different tablets, 3 different tablets in the afternoon, 3 different tablets in nighttime. I didn't even know what it was, but you just took it because you just wanted a quiet life. And then I got an apology saying it was our fault. We're sorry. Here's a bag of medication and good luck with everything.
Yeah, I think. I mean, listening to that, I mean, if there's a clear need for someone to be admitted, whether it's voluntary or involuntary, that is one thing. But I think I don't know. Just listening to that, it sounds like the police saying, "Well, you've no one to look after you, and we're going to hand you over to psychiatric services." And then the next minute, you're in the system, aren't you? Being given medication.
Well, that was it. It was just like I thought, how has this come to this? Because I'm not a bad person. I'm a bit lost and I've got nowhere to stay. But they did admit, they said we just didn't know where to put you. So and it's great. I mean, it's great now because I can look back on it and also I can share my experience with other people who are lost or who are frightened. And I can say, do you know what? you know, but I don't think it's as bad as it was back then, but it was literally like one flew over the cuckoo's nest. It was just you just couldn't believe it. It was
Yeah.
just, I was given regulation pajamas, had nobody to speak to. There was 2 people that thought they were Jesus. So I didn't know, is it Jesus? I've never had a plural of Jesuses.
One of them was lying, obviously.
Yeah. I know. So, things kept my brain busy. And, but it was just unbelievable. I'd never felt so lost and lonely in my entire life thinking, wow, they don't know what
Well,
to do.
it's qualified you, isn't it, to speak on so many levels about the mental health. I was going to say sector, but sometimes in some ways it's more like an industry, that branch of the NHS. I mean, in terms of services that you've accessed, there's a kaleidoscope of services that you've been involved with, and then that culminated with you making the TV program, isn't it? The BBC program.
Yeah,
Being,
well, I just thought I'm going to use everything. And do you know what? I did an award ceremony not that long ago. I'm not going to name the people, but one of the people that came up to me and said, if you don't mind, don't mention about the fact that part of our law sectioned you, so just don't mention that. And I was like, what? And I said, "Well, I'm not going to." But it was all about mental health. I do talks all over the country about mental health and sharing your story. But they were like, don't mention that. Don't say that. And I went, I can actually say what I want. And if it's going to help somebody else, don't tell me what I can and can't say.
why were they trying to censor what you were saying? What was the rationale for that?
I think they just didn't want people to know that they didn't know how to handle me back in the day, and they just wanted it sort of like swept under the carpet. I think they wanted to apologize and they said, "Oh, it shouldn't have happened that way, but just don't mention it." And I was like, "I can say what I want now. Don't tell me what I can and can't say."
What was the thing that making the show, the being Gail Porter, what was it that pivoted on? Was it just an opportunity, or was it you were approached, or?
Yeah,
Uh,
well, do you know what? When they approached me, and I thought this is a terrible idea, and then when I actually sat and thought about it, I thought, no, we can use this. This can be good because it's very difficult when you make telly programs. You're not sure who you're going to be working with. You're not sure how they're going to turn things around. It's not live. So I used to love doing live telly back in the 90s because whatever happened, you were in trouble and it was your fault. Because it was
um,
live.
you
Whereas,
control, don't you? Unless they edit it out, but there's no
well, let's
script.
say you just think, well, well, they can't edit live stuff, so that was great. So you could do whatever you wanted. But whereas, knowing that someone was going to be in charge of your story that was the only thing that I was thinking, do I want to do this? Do I want someone to edit this out? And I said to my dad before he passed away, my dad was I went to visit him and I said, "Do you know what, Dad? I'm really sorry if I ever let you down." And he went, "No, Gail, you just let yourself down." I was so Scottish. And I was like, all right.
That's
So
fine, you know,
unfortunately,
it's fine.
yeah,
Yeah, you
pretty,
just see you, you just let
such
yourself
a
down.
dad thing. No, just yourself. It's like, okay.
Thanks for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Cheers, Dad.
Can we speak about the addiction part of your life? Because I know that you've been in a number of rehabs. No? Was it
Oh, I think four.
so alcohol addiction, sex addiction, depression tends to be linked to those things anyway. But did you have treatment for the co-occurring?
Basically, I was very depressed. So, and I was tiny. So it started when I was about 16 and it was self-harming. Then it was food. So I would stop eating, then I'd
Yeah,
overeat, and then I'd stop eating again. And then when it came to alcohol, because I was so tiny,
yeah,
it didn't even take a lot. I could be absolutely pissed out my mind after about 2, 3 glasses of wine. And so, I went into rehab, I can't even remember when, and to be honest with you, it was not great. There was nice people there, but they didn't do
yeah,
anything to help me. I feel like they took the money because it's not cheap to go to rehab. But the one in England that I went to, they weren't pleasant, but it was fine. They did their job and they made me pray to God every morning. And I was like, well, I'm an atheist. They're going, we don't care. I was like, right. I said, but this is kind of, can we talk about this? And they're like, no. It's like, so you feel very isolated. Whereas when I went to the cabin, I must admit, I didn't even want to come home.
yeah, yeah.
I could have stayed in the cabin forever. I literally, everyone there was so kind with the food and people chatting to you. It was just a different level. It's like something that I'd never experienced here, And I'm not being disrespectful to anybody in the UK that's got these rehabs, but I think that there's a lot of places in the UK that want your cash, don't really listen to you, and then it doesn't really help.
I think as well in over time, I think rehabilitation centres have moved on. I think there's a much greater emphasis now on trauma informed care, isn't there? Rather than just saying, in the morning you do a feelings or a check in group, and then you do your step one. You'll do this and you'll do that. I don't know. My experience of starting, because I went to one of those type of rehabs as well, and I was shocked by just how harsh it was. It was fairly
I'm not going to ask you which one, but we probably.
it was fairly brutal. But yeah, but this is going back, it's 20 years, and I think back then it was, it was a different kettle of fish. But it does seem that nowadays there's a bit more that, I think in the main part there are some good actors, and those people they're more compassionate. But I take on board what you're saying. I've seen it myself.
Like the main one that I went to in the UK, there was one lady that was working there and she was absolutely adorable. And she used to meet me outside of groups and stuff. And she went, you understand, don't you? She went, I hate it here and I work here. It's like, well, that's not really great for me. She went, no, seriously. She went, I just watch you all getting up, doing things that you don't believe in. You're going through the motions And that's what it felt like. My alarm would go off in the morning and I knew what I had to do. I knew that I was to, if I didn't say the correct prayer, they were going, why are you not? And I was like, oh God. And it was just, it's actually exhausting and it made me more depressed than anything else. But I mean,
Yeah.
you learn things all the time and I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone, but
No,
we'd never want to go back to any of those places in the UK that I went to before.
no, and looking back, I can see there was almost an element of entrapment. It was as if there was a big power imbalance, and some of the people that worked in those places, it's like they had the answers and they asked the leading questions, and the minute you got the question wrong, it was like bang, it's
Yeah.
kind of you're still sick, and it's like what did I do? I just answered your question. I got it wrong. I'm sorry.
I know. I kept a diary actually when I was at the first ever rehab because I thought this is nuts. And so I kept a diary every single day. And then when I left, I set fire to it. So but I'm kind of gutted now because I thought, oh, I wish I'd kept that because there was just things going on that you just think, how is this? This is not this is not helping me in any way. I'm actually more sad than I was when I got here. So my mental health just went down the toilet because they weren't, when you beg people for help and say, do you know what, it's not just I drank too much. I was watching people that were shaking. Like I didn't even know that sort of thing happened, when they get the shakes when they've drunk too much. And I said, well, I never got that. And they said, well, you didn't drink that much, but your depression is taken over. And I was like, so who do I speak to? What do I do? They went, you just go to the same classes as everybody else. I was like, so the man that's nearly dead over there, I'm at the same class as him because I'm depressed. They're going, yeah, it's all the same. You're
Yeah.
going, what's wrong? And there was this lovely man, bless him, and we were all sitting in a group, and he was going, no, 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 I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. I only have like two, one, two, and I was thinking, is it two bottles? Is it four bottles of wine? He went, one, two. I have two glasses of wine, and my wife does not like it, so she sent me to read.
Yeah. No, I think what you said just now, a little bit earlier, where you said, it's about blocking stuff out and about numbing, and whether it's alcohol or it's a sex addiction, I think those things are about, fixating on external objects or people in order to, whether it's to validate us or to, just remove what it is that's really kind of affecting us.
That's the thing that's it's difficult for people. It's fine to say, do you know what, this is me now. But sometimes I go to bed and I think about stuff that happened when I was younger and you don't want
Mm.
to think about it. And I think, oh, it would be kind of good to express that, but I just blocked it out, if that makes any sense. And it's kind of, oh, I want to know how, I try and talk about most stuff, but there's still stuff that I've got inside that I just think, maybe one day.
Yeah,
Not yet. And the good
yeah.
thing is my grandpa worked for an ice cream company for a wee while. So when I got really depressed, he just used to bring me loads of boxes of ice cream. And that was such a Scottish thing. He's like, right, Gail's sad, just give her food.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think that's where the addiction started. It was like, if you're sad, eat ice cream, or if you're happy, here's some more ice cream. And so you just think, oh, I can just take stuff and it'll make me better, whether it's ice cream or drugs or sex. But unfortunately, well, sex has been about 10 years now, so I don't know what that's like.
Right. Oh, yeah, I mean, with the ice cream thing is a favorite for bulimics. I've met quite a few bulimics in the past who said ice cream. I could do loads and loads of ice cream, copious amounts.
Yeah, I was bulimic as well, so you could just like eat and eat and eat ice cream, and it's so, this is terrible, but it was pretty easy to bring up.
Of course, yeah, yeah, and I think that's it. It's not, there's no kind of, substance or
Not
texture.
solid food, it's nothing like that. You just think, "Oh, I can do that."
Yeah, I guess we should just say that we're not in any way, shape, or form vicariously or otherwise blaming your grandpa for
Oh, no, no,
anything.
no, my grandpa was
He's just
great.
being
Grandpa had no
nuts.
idea. He was just being kind and giving me ice cream. I was gonna say I was his favorite granddaughter, but I was his only one, so yeah.
Okay, well, that's reason enough, isn't it? Great,
Win-win,
great. Yeah.
win-win.
Win. When you came to the cabin, was it for addictions or was it for depression? Because I know that for a lot of people those things they coexist. Addiction takes you to the place of depression, but some people do come in for treatment or
When I got told about the cabin, I was starting to drink again, but I was really, really depressed. So it was kind of going hand in hand. So the more depressed I was getting, the more I wanted to drink. And then I got suggested, do you want to go to the cabin? And I thought, yeah. And also the fact that I wasn't in the UK, so I wasn't around things that can trigger me all the time. And I was in a completely different environment. And it almost felt like I could start from the beginning and I could be honest with these people that don't know me, didn't know anything about my history, and just listen. And also, it's really, no, it was just so nice. And it was just one of the best times I think I've ever had because it didn't even feel like I was in a clinic. It didn't feel like I was in a rehab. It felt like people actually genuinely cared and they
Mm,
wanted to talk to me and they wanted to listen to me as opposed to me getting up at 6 a.m. and doing a prayer and then sitting in a group. And I mean, there were great groups, amazing groups, but you didn't feel like you were getting told what to do or told what to say. You were listening, and people had amazing stories, and they were so open. And then you just wander out afterwards, and then you could make friends, or you could go to your room, and it was it was like being in the best holiday, but knowing that someone actually cared about you and were gonna try and make you better.
yeah. Yeah, I was thinking while you were talking, I was thinking about the drinking had just started, but it was you were in a really really kind of like sort of low place, and I was thinking that actually for a lot of people, when people ask about depression, it's almost like the first thing you do is tell them the symptoms, or you say "Oh, I just didn't want to do this, or I didn't want to get out of bed," and I don't know. My experience of depression is it's almost like a place. It's a place that you go to. It's not always tangible. What was depression? What was your depression like? What was it?
Well, my depression was I had to set an alarm every single day. I know this sounds a bit crazy, but I had to set alarm every single day for like 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning just to make sure that I got up to function and to be a better person for everyone around me and put my nonsense out of my well, I thought it was nonsense, put it out of my head, just focus on everybody else, but then I'd get home to bed at night and I just would cry and cry. And I thought, well, I can't phone this person because I know that they're going through something, or I can't phone that friend because I don't want to upset her. And I don't want to speak to this friend because I don't want them thinking that I can't cope. And so it just gets bigger and bigger because you're holding it all in and you just don't want to worry anybody. So my depression was just it would go from, I thought I was useless. I mean, I had my phone hacked. I had people outside my house because of my job. I had a stalker who wanted to kill me. And then I was just thinking, "Do you know what? I just wanted a kind of happy life. And now it's gone from happy, happy to now suddenly dark and weird. And I don't know who to talk to and I don't want to worry anybody. And so holding my worries and my sadness in it was just getting bigger and bigger. It was just manifesting itself. And I was my own worst enemy. Instead of actually saying, I need help, I need you to give me a hug. I mean, I was at the hospital yesterday, it's nothing major, but I've sort of avoided going for ages. When I got in, the nice scan man, he was just checking it was something to do. I had a tummy infection, so it's nothing major. But I got in and I just burst into tears. And he was just looking at me going, is everything okay? And I said, I don't cry in front of people. And I don't know why, because I don't know you. And he was like, oh, right, okay. Being very British, going, okie dokie. I was just like, I just need to cry. And I cried for about 20 minutes. And he's like, everything okay? And I went, yeah, yeah. I just needed to get it out, and I don't know you, so but that's, when you go to somewhere like the cabin, you can cry in front of people and they're not gonna judge you. Whereas that guy probably went home to his wife last night going, "Well, she's nuts." I was like, "Yeah, but did you win a BAFTA? Don't think so."
Don't think so, no. So shuffle your scans and your results, but I've got that.
You know, exactly. But sometimes you just need to let it all out, but it's very difficult.
Well, I think is like you saying that you kind of go through the list of who can I talk to, and a couple of times I've heard you say, I don't know who to talk to. There's no one that I can talk to, and even when you scroll down the list of possibilities, we're so self deprecating that we're kind of like, oh, I don't want to worry them, and I don't want to burden them. They don't want to hear me kind of like weeping down the phone and this, so we
Do you know what I did that last night when I got out of hospital because I've been waiting for so long to go and get my tummy checked. And I was going through my phone last night going, I need to speak to someone. And I was going down everyone and going, exactly just what you said. I was going, oh, I don't want to worry them. Oh, I don't want to do that. And then eventually I just put on Meet Marry Murder on the crime channel and I went to bed. Not ideal. Not ideal.
yeah, yeah, reruns of Law and Order or something. Yes,
Oh yeah. Special Victims Unit.
there you
Yeah.
go, there you go. Special Victims Unit is a lifesaver. I think I've done the same
My
thing myself.
God. Well, do you know what? Because I've got insomnia. I know that if I put on the telly at 11 o'clock, it's going to
Yeah,
be on
yeah. It's true.
Olivia Benson, and I'll go, I know who did it, Olivia.
I think I'm working my way through season 11 at the moment. Actually, we're kindred spirits when it comes to.
Exactly. Well, I told my daughter when I was doing my stand up in Edinburgh, she was like, "Oh yeah," she won't come and see me. She's like, "I don't want to see you." Oh God, embarrassing. And I went, "I'm a detective." She went, "You're not a detective, mum. You just watch crime." And I went, "I know, but I am a detective." She's like, "Oh, whatever." So I now put Gail Porter, comedian, bald person, detective.
Tired.
Tired, very tired.
How did you? I was thinking when you were saying about the limitations that we place upon ourselves in terms of being able to speak to people, and we do that in and outside of addiction. I think sometimes like in addiction, we don't want the shame or the stigma, or maybe we don't want people to do anything because they might stop us. And then when we get well, sometimes we kind of we're overly sensitive to other people's feelings, and I was thinking they're personal, they're very personal decisions. But during that whole COVID thing, how did that impact you with all those lockdowns? Was
Oh,
that
do you even want to know this story?
yeah? I think well, I do. I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious because
Okay, well, the week before lockdown, I was working in Edinburgh, and I spoke to my dad. I mean, my dad was my dad, and he phoned me up. He's like, "I," he was living in Marbella, with lady friends. Don't know, didn't ask, but he phoned me up. He's like, "Hello, I'm just gonna go and see my pals down at the beach," and I was like, "Right." And then I got a phone call in the afternoon from one of his lady friends going, are you Gail? And I went, Yeah." She went, "Your dad is dead." And I was like, "You what?" And they went, "Dad, dead, dad dead." And then she hung up. And I tried to phone my dad's phone and obviously no one answered. And then I phoned my cousin and I was like, "Do you know what? I'm working at the moment in Edinburgh. Someone's just called me to say my dad's dead." And I said, can you help me with this?" And so she said, "Leave it with me. I'll make calls and da-da-da." Then she phoned me back and she went, "Yeah, your dad's died. He had a massive brain hemorrhage on the way to the pub in Spain." And I was like, "Oh, right, okay." I think I was in so much shock that I couldn't. And also I was thinking, "Right, we're going into lockdown in a week and my
yeah,
dad's in Spain." So my brain was just like, I didn't have time to cry. I didn't have time to grieve. And I was thinking, how the blinking heck do I get to Spain and get my dad cremated and brought back? So anyway, I did it. I managed to, I mean, obviously horrible COVID, like British Airways or different flights, they upped the prices because, to get out there and then to get back, they were like, well, I think they charged me over a grand to get home, one way ticket, because it was either that or I stay in Spain. So anyway, I flew over, managed to get the one person in Spain that did cremations. So he charged me over a grand to get my dad cremated, but I managed it all. And so anyway, I got the last flight coming home and I just thought, I don't actually know what's happened here. And I had this bag that said it said happy on it. So I put my dad's box in the happy bag. No, because I didn't want anyone to ask me any questions. I didn't want to put my dad in the hold. I just wanted to get home. And so I've got my dad at my feet in a happy bag on the plane. And this lovely air hostess, she came up to me, she went, "Are you Gail Porter?" And I went, "I don't know." I don't know. And she went, "No, no, no. We've got two seats in first class. If you'd like," she said, "I'm a big fan. If you'd like to go and sit in first class, we've got two seats." And I went, "That's amazing. There's two of us." And the guy sitting next to me went, "No, I'm not with her." I went, "No, no, no, that's my dead dad at my feet." And he's like, "Oh God. Oh my God." So I sat up in first class and I put my dad on the seat next to me in his happy bag. And then the air hostess is like pure white by this point. She's shaking. And she went, would you like a glass? Would you like a glass of wine? And I said, "Well, I'm fine, but hang on. Dad, yeah, my dad will take a glass of red. That would be great." Oh. And I thought, oh, so I put the wee bottle of red wine in my dad's bag and brought him home.
And have you ever flown first class before?
It's not funny, but it is funny. Pardon?
Have you ever flown first class before?
No, he hadn't. No, it was his first time. I put his seatbelt on him. I was like, "Just safety, Dad."
You following instructions when the turn gets hit and the light goes on, putting the
And
seatbelt
then
on.
as soon as I got back, it was lockdown, so
Yeah,
I couldn't take my dad anywhere. So he
yeah,
was just like sitting in my front room, and I was just dealing with all his legal stuff
right.
online. And yeah, I was just he was in the front room for ages in his little box. And then once I got all his bills and everything, I put him in the spare room. I was like, "You spent what on what?" So, but it's all sorted, it's all done. And I eventually got to take him back to Scotland after lockdown, and I chucked him in the sea in Edinburgh. And the
Just
police were like, "Is that
in the
you, Gail
sea.
Porter?" And I went, "No." And they went, "We know it's you." And I was like, "Yeah." And they went, "Have you just chucked ashes in the sea?" And I went, "Yeah." And they went, "You're not supposed to do that." And I went, "Well, you can go and get them out because I've done it." And they were like, "Right, okay." I was like, "Okay, have a great day. Bye."
What legislation says you can't put ashes in the sea? Is
Don't
that
know. I
real?
think they were just being mean to me. They were just being police officers going, "No, you can't do that." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever." I
Okay.
don't listen to anyone. Don't tell me anything. Been through enough. I've been through enough. There's my dad. Go and fish him out. It's done now.
And how did you manage to process that just going into lockdowns? Because that sounds like you had an almighty task of sorting through someone's admin, and yet, as you say, I didn't know, I couldn't even think straight, couldn't even make
Well,
sense of it.
it was I was just so happy to get my dad back before lockdown. And then
Yeah,
I was watching, Boris and his cronies having the parties and wine and cheese. And I was so angry. In fact, I think I got blocked by Boris. So, because I was like, F you. Because so many people I knew were going through awful things, and I'm so fortunate because I've got wonderful neighbors. So what I did over lockdown is I put notes in everyone's doors around my neighborhood, and I said, right, because most of the people around here are sort of a bit older than me, and I went, if you need anything, I said, I don't have a car, so don't ask me to get massive stuff, but if you and every day I was going up to shops on my own and dropping everything off with everybody. And it really helped me just knowing that my neighbors could call me, and people were there. So it was a very lonely time, and it was very difficult going through the legal stuff. But I must admit, when it was like they said, "Oh, lockdown is finished, you can all go out," I was like, "Oh, I don't want to. I don't want to go out." I was quite happy just doing my own little, I'll do my neighbour's shopping, I'll take the dogs out. So all the local dogs, I was taking the dogs out for walks, and then suddenly it all went back to normal. I was like, oh, I don't like this. But
The,
yeah,
the way it went from kind of draconian, kind of you must stay at home, to
would you
then
know, I've got so many photographs because what I used to do was walk everywhere because nobody was out. So I'd be walking through Piccadilly Circus, like across the road, no cars, no nothing. And then I did an interview with Louis Theroux. So I was a big fan, didn't know him. And he said, oh, would you like to do an interview? We're doing sort of like COVID diary stuff. And I was like, yeah, of course. Oh my God, this is amazing. So we were doing this big interview. And he's like, "So how have you coped?" And I said, "Oh yeah, my dad's here." And he went, "Oh right." I went, "Do you want to meet him?" And he went, "Yeah." So I brought the box. And he went, "Oh God, Gail." I went, "I know, right?" I said, "But my dad loved you, so it's all good." And he was like, blinking heck. I didn't expect that. And I was like, yeah, there you go. So, you just get on with things, and it made me appreciate life even more, appreciate friendship, appreciate my neighbors, appreciate kindness. And yeah, I appreciate a lot since when you spend a lot of time on your own and you're doing other things for other people when they can't do things for themselves, you appreciate everything.
Yeah, that's really interesting because one of the questions that was given to me was to ask you was, what do you value most in life and what makes you happy? And it sounds like, those acts of kindness or just that appreciation, of life.
Good people, happiness,
Yeah.
and hugs. Oh, I love a hug. Oh my God, I love a hug. All my neighbors know that. They were going, "Not today, Gail." I was like, "Just a quick one." So, yeah, if I go to Sainsbury's, because I always tell everyone I love a hug. If I go to my big Sainsbury's down the road, people actually come up and they go, "Do you want a hug?" I was like, "I do actually." And I love the fact that people just go, "We're gonna give Gail a hug today." I'm not ashamed about it. I love a hug. I love happiness. I love kindness, and I love acceptance. So
Yeah.
whether you're an addict, whether you've got a million problems, someone's going to be there for you.
Yeah.
Someone is going to be there, and listening is a very important attribute that we should never judge anyone unless they're like really mean. But you should always listen.
Yeah.
Listening is a great thing.
Yeah, it's the hug thing is interesting because I keep watching Ziggy Stardust in the background, and I think
Yeah.
animals are great for that kind of tactile connection. And
Do you know
when you said that Ziggy is a rescue cat, I was going to volunteer that I've got a rescue dog here, and she goes everywhere with me, and
Oh,
even the listening, what you were saying just now. I mean, I talk incessantly to her because I think she's the only one that doesn't kind of like challenge me. But she's not she's not she's not one of those dogs that's kind of yappy or kind of like goes running off into traffic or anything. She just walks quietly with me, and I think I'm talking to her, but I think what she's actually doing is she's therapizing me. I think she's probably the wise one in the relationship.
well, this morning, well, when I got back from hospital yesterday, and then this morning I said to Ziggy was just sitting looking at me, and I was like, "So anyway, I'm going to be doing this today, and then I'm going to do that, and then I'll probably go and get you some treats." And she's like this. Whereas my friend's dog Yogi up the road, every time I see Yogi, it's like he's never met me before. He's like, "Oh my God, this is the most exciting thing in the world ever! It's Gail, it's Gail, it's Gail!" And he's like, and my cat just looks at him like that, going, "What? Get over it." They're just so clever animals. They just know. And, I've been an animal advocate for years and years, and I would never change it. I think I'm doing Save the Rhinos on Wednesday night. So there's not going to be any rhinos there, but we're making lots of money to save rhinos.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good. At some level, I'm sure that wouldn't be right to have
A
rhinos.
selfie like that, I'll send it to you like that, me and a rhino.
Yeah. Is that common? I hear that Ricky Gervais is a bit of an animal advocate as well. He does a lot of work. Is that a common thing within the
He
industry?
works. He works with a lot of charities. I've met him quite a lot of times. I know a lot of people sort of think he's a bit kind of Marmite. You know, he says things that you think, oh, should you have said that? But do you know what? He does what he does, and he's a happy person. And I think he dedicated, well, he gave millions because he works with Peter Egan, who's one of the people that I work with, an animal advocate as well, and he gave millions to dog trusts, animal trusts. I mean, he loves his animals. I love my animals. Animals are just they're just perfect. They're just
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. And I think there's a level, isn't there, at which we're getting sidetracked here. I think we could talk about animals for ages. I think there's a level that people go to in terms of like, caring for animals. But I think animals, they're a little bit hard done by. I think like living somewhere out here, I need to be careful what I say really. I mean, people feed the street dogs out here, but things like medical attention that goes unseen. I think a lot of the time the animals out here need healthcare. They've got medical issues that need treating. And people put food down for them, but sometimes I look at some of these animals. I think that they need to be in the clinic. They need to be picked up.
Yeah.
They need
Unfortunately, you can't help. You know,
no,
I've been out there and I've seen animals on the street, and I've worked in lots of
yeah,
places all around the world, and I've seen animals that you just think, oh my god, how can I help? But you know,
yeah. You can't help
you
it.
can't help everything all the time, but you can try your hardest.
Yeah, and I think that's the important thing, isn't it? It's about making an effort. Okay, I've taken you completely off topic here, but I think it's a topic that's dear to your heart. It's not off topic for you. It's probably off topic for the audience. But so one of the
So
other questions was about your work with the Samaritans and what the work is that you do for them. So how long have you been involved with them, and what do you
oh
do?
gosh, I've been with the Samaritans now for I can't even tell you, but yeah, I'm an ambassador for them, and I think how it came about was a long time ago. I mean, a long, long, long time ago. I didn't know who to speak to, and I didn't know much about them, and I called them and I hung up. Then I called them again and I hung up. Then eventually I called again and I just remember they didn't ask me any questions. They didn't ask my name. And I just burst into tears. And I think I was on the phone for a few hours just talking to this guy who I didn't know who he was. He didn't know who I was, but he listened. And I've never forgotten that. I've never forgotten what difference it made to me that night because I was thinking, I just want to end this all. I can't cope. And he just listened and listened. And I went to bed thinking, thanks. Don't know
Yeah,
you, but I'm
yeah.
going to sleep now. I'm going to sleep.
That's so amazing to give someone that space to, as you say, to just not even ask.
Yeah,
Maybe the most
nothing.
things, yeah, just to give them that platform to just speak.
Just
Yeah,
yeah, and they're all volunteers, so they all do it out of their own time. No one gets paid. They're all absolutely amazing humans that go, do you know what? I've got a couple hours here. I've done it before, and I know a lot of friends of mine do it, but we don't tell anyone. We just go. I mean, what I've told you now, but I mean, anyone can do it. Anyone can. You have to go through certain, tests and all the rest of it. But all you have to do is be kind and listen. And oh my gosh, what a difference, because sometimes that's all people need is someone just to that they don't know where you are, they don't know where you live, they don't know your name, and you just told them everything that's like making your heart heavy, and
yeah,
then your heart feels lighter, and they're not going to judge you, and then you go to bed and think, sorry mate, but thanks.
yeah. I'm always curious at the end of any news sequence or drama where there's been some emotive subject and it says if you've been affected by this, call Joe the Samaritan. And I always want to know who Joe is because I just think I mean all of
Yeah,
the Samaritans,
could
but
be
who?
could be me.
I mean, it's not an important thing. I mean, this is not a profound question. I should be asking so many more things, but I just wanted to hear myself say that and see if there's an answer. Is there? Is there?
I think Joe is just like it can be anyone.
Be anyone. Okay, all right. Joe the Samaritan. Whoever you are, well done. Kudos to you
Yeah.
and everyone else that's not Joe. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's amazing and deeply touching. That, as you say, that somebody just answered and just didn't intrude into what you needed with questions, which is
Yeah, nothing. Nothing. I just remember I don't remember too much about it because obviously I was a little bit traumatized at the time, thinking, "Oh my gosh, I'm wasting people's time. I'm a terrible human." And then suddenly, after about 5 minutes, you forget all that stuff in your head because someone is actually listening and not judging you, and you think, "Oh, this is quite nice."
Well, it takes some resilience as well, doesn't it? I mean, you're female, I'm male, and I can speak, from a male perspective. I know that there's been conversations in my life where I felt so uncomfortable with what's been spoken about that the best thing to do is to ask a question and to go into kind of like, problem solving mode. It's like, oh, this is difficult. I mean, I don't cognitively think that this is difficult, so I will ask you a question. But when I look back at some of the times I've asked questions when someone just wanted to be heard or just wanted to talk, I think, what is the temptation when you ask that question? What is that process about? And sometimes it's about, this is so uncomfortable for me. I'm just going to interrupt it, what you're saying, with a question, or try and find a solution. And it's not out of a lack of compassion. Maybe it's a bloke thing. Probably shouldn't go
But
around saying,
no, everyone's different because I used to be ask a million questions, going, "Well, why do you feel like this? And why did it?" And now I don't do any of that. I just listen.
yeah,
And if people start going off on a tangent, I still listen. And then when it gets to the end and they stop, they go, "What
yeah,
do you think?" And I was like, I was like, "Well, to be honest with
it's
you,
not fault.
it's not about me. It's about you. So, you know,
Yeah.
I'm here. Do you want a hug? Anyone? Hug?
Oh, classic Gail Porter. Yeah, your needs man. Do you
Okay.
want a hug?
Hug. Hug anyone? Hugs are always great.
Yeah, you can't beat hugs. Yeah, I mean the fellowship swear by them. I don't know if AA do hugs. Do they? Is it just NA that do hugs? I'm not sure. Somebody
Oh,
told
I
me
don't
that.
know. I did do that thing that I went to AANASAOAUA. It was actually quite funny. I was like, wow, there's loads of A's. But I think the funniest one I ever went to was SA, the sex addiction. So
Right.
I only ever
Okay.
went to one. I only ever went to one. And do you know what? Anyone that's watching this, if you want to go, you go. But for me personally, I went in there and everyone was talking about, oh yeah, this happened, and then I did this thing, and I was like, it was all a bit sexy, sexy talk. And then by the time I got outside, I was like, I just want to go home. And they were all shagging.
No way.
They
Okay.
didn't they didn't even make it to the bathroom. They were all like, "Woohoo!" And I was like, "Oh god, no." Oh,
You could write that. If that was a script, people would say that's not believable, wouldn't they?
wait, literally, the tree outside because they're all saying
Did you do classic Gal Porter and say, "Does anyone want a cup of tea?"
I went for frozen yogurt. So
No. Okay,
because
okay. Now I've got.
I remember going to this and I thought this is a terrible idea because they were all they were all telling sexy stories because I was not really interested in anyone. But when they were all telling their sexy stories, you could see everyone going, "Ooh!" I was like, "Oh God, no!" And I was thinking, "Frozen yogurt, frozen yogurt." It's a
That's
shock. And then
yeah.
when
I
I
went.
came, they
That's
were all
probably quite Freudian, isn't it? The frozen yogurt
getting
thing.
it on, and I was like, "Oh my goodness me!" I think this was in South Africa.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
it was somewhere, I don't know, but it was the funniest thing ever because I just was like that. Frozen yogurt, don't look.
Look, I'm sure there's something in the traditions about that. I don't think it fits with what the model.
Well, I went to the OA and everyone was talking about food, and then when they all came out, they all went to get pizza, and I was like, "How is this even working? I don't understand."
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know. Whereas, when you did AA, people are going, alcohol just destroyed this and it destroyed that. And you just think, oh, I don't want to drink. Whereas people are going, oh, and then I had a massive pizza and then this, and you're going, oh, there's certain A's that you maybe should not go
yeah.
to. AA is great. NA was okay. I didn't really I took drugs when I was like 18, when I was a young person. But when I went to NA, the thing is, I was not interested in drugs, so I was listening to the stories, which were really interesting. But then when I came out, people were selling drugs outside, and they're going, "Do
God,
you want this?" And I was like, "No, I'm genuinely not that interested. Would you like a cup of tea?"
there you
So
go. There's the cup of tea.
I was like, yeah, AA I could deal with, but no, everything else was a little bit weird.
Yeah, and I mean that's a far cry from where you are today with the tour that you've got going on. Where hung, drawn, and ported. The name. Did you come up with a name? I mean, it's
So my
classic.
best friend did because I was like, I don't know what to call it, and he came up with it, and I thought, yeah, that's quite cool actually. So I've got a bit of a break. I think my next one is on Sunday in Scotland, so I'm going to go back up to Scotland. And it's, do you know what? It's been the most fun because it's not just stand up, it's a story. It's like our conversation now. So I can bring up stuff that I'm
Yeah,
not embarrassed about,
yeah,
addiction or my hair loss or losing my parents, or but we can turn it around and
yeah,
make people, I get people to interact with me. And I think the last time when I was in Scotland, there was this lady. Friday nights are always the best in Scotland because this woman was absolutely pissed out of her mind. And I was on the stage and she's like, it got to the end and I was chatting away and she went, Gail, it's me, Auntie Mary. I was like, I don't have an Auntie Mary, but that's great. And she's like, hey, I know you're gran, right? And I was like, would you like to come on the stage? She went, aye, I do actually. And the next thing, I've got this old lady on the stage with me, drunk out of her mind. And she's like, I'm going to sing a song. I was like, oh, I love Scotland, but I'm so pleased I'm sober.
this is great material. This is a gift, isn't it? When you're on stage with someone like that, it's like you can do no wrong, can you? It's just,
Exactly, and it makes it so much easier when it comes to, if anyone wants to try and take you down or come up with a funny quirk or think that they've, yeah, we're gonna like heckle her. But when they're drunk and I'm not, it's so easy to take them down. Because you know exactly what's going on. You just think, I'll just let you keep chatting for a while and then I'll break you. But in a nice, fun way, and then I'll give you a hug.
and are you going to get a Netflix special out of this? Do you think? Is this going to be the?
Well, I don't know. I've just written a book, so that's with a film company at the moment that want to do something with it. But to be honest with you, I'm just in a really happy place. So
Yeah,
I think when you're in a happy place and you write stuff or you put stuff down and you just think, if that happens, that's great. If it doesn't happen, it's not. But yeah, someone's asked me to publish a book. I have written most of it, but it is funny. Well, I think it's funny because obviously I wrote it, but it's not serious. It's like, oh God, what a terrible life I've had. It's amusing and it's kind of, I'm not dead yet. So don't put me down. Don't put me down. I've got great things to tell you all. My dad's in the sea, so don't go swimming in Edinburgh because my dad's in there somewhere. And yeah, everything's
yeah,
going to be.
yeah, that's going to trouble me tonight. I don't think I'm going to be able to kind of focus on Law and Order or go to bed and sleep
I'll send
without.
I'll, s- I'll send you some of it, and you can go, "What the feckin'?" Literally, when I sent it to the people that are working at the film company, I sent them the first chapter, and they went, "You're definitely still alive." I mean, yeah, I know, right? Still here, still
You sound
smiling.
really, you sound really happy. Like listening to you now as we've been talking. You
I'm
do
so
radiate.
happy.
You radiate a sense of like almost contentment and kind of happiness. Is that?
I think when you've gone through the worst of the worst and you've made it out the other side, I never thought I was going to be sitting on a bench without a home, without anything. I never thought I'd be sectioned. I never thought, I thought everything was just done. I
Yeah,
just thought I can't get out of this. And I
yeah,
did. And
yeah,
that's why I always say to everyone, I was like, everyone's different. We're all different. But there's always someone there. There's always someone to listen to you. There's always someone that can just give you a hand. Sometimes that's all you need. Someone to hold your hand and then you can try. We can try and make it work.
yeah.
We can try and move things forward.
And I think
That's, anyway,
you've
so
got
that's why I'm so happy. And also I've got
you,
that
yeah. Well, I think I'm just listening to you. You know, as you say, you know, it's kind of you're living proof of what that change can look like. That there is always someone there, and this too shall pass. To coin that kind of that phrase. And I think with all of these interviews, there's always that awkward last question of like, what advice would Gail Porter give to someone struggling with health or addiction issues?
Come to my house for a tea and a hug. Come
tea
on.
and a hug. It's obviously tea and a hug. And I always think it's an unfair question, because it's like, give us the spark notes of what someone should do if they're struggling. And I think, just listening.
There is no right and there's no wrong and there's nothing you can do. But don't ever, ever, ever give up, because honestly, I look at, I self-harmed. I did all sorts of stuff. I've got scars all over my arms. And I look at them now and I just think, thank goodness I changed. And I'm not embarrassed of my scars. I just think that was a part of my life that I managed to survive. And every single one of us have got a scar, whether it's visible or it's not visible. And you just share it and you say, do you know what? No matter what happened, I was on a bench, no house. Now I've got a big fat cat. I've got a little roof over my head. I don't want for anything. I don't need a car. I don't need fancy holiday. I don't need anything. I think that's one of the I've got friends that go, oh God, I need to get a bigger car, or I need to do this. And I think that's fine. That's your life. But for me, I put the key in my front door. And even last night when I came out of the hospital, even though it was nothing major, it was just, but I got scared because I don't have my mum to call and I don't have my dad to call. And then suddenly, not being well, you want to call your mum. And I put the key in my front door. And my neighbor was downstairs and she gave me a big hug. She's like, is everything okay? And I said, yeah, it's just, She went, yeah, I know. And I said, can I get you anything? She went, if you don't mind getting me semi-skimmed milk tomorrow, that'd be great. And I was like, well, that took the tears away. I was like, oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go and get semi-skimmed milk now.
Yeah, there's some material in there. There's some material in there. You can reach out.
Exactly. And then I'm going to come back to Thailand because I need a holiday. I know you should never say I need a holiday, but you know what? My little body is a little bit exhausted, and I'm loving every single charity thing that I do. But you know when you just want to have a wee snooze, but not
Yeah.
in your own bed, just somewhere
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
in a strange bed. I'm not a sex addict still, so
No. Let's not open that one up
let's
again.
leave go there. No. So I just want to. I don't know. Go somewhere nice and just smile at people and meet new people and give hugs to people that is not in my house. Well,
Well,
that
it's a
no,
land of smiles, isn't it, Thailand? Thailand is a land of smiles, so you can come out here and just
love
smile.
Thailand. Please tell me where you'd recommend, because I think September I've got 10 days off. I might treat myself to something.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm. Strokey
Hmm.
beard. So if you could come up with the ideas.
I have a cunning plan.
Yay, we love cunning plans.
Well, listen, I should let you go and get skimmed milk, shouldn't I? I'm still trying to push the idea of frozen yogurt and South African sex addicts from my head. I'm disturbed. But
No,
listen,
you love it, really. You love it. You could make it up. I was
no, you
literally
could,
there going, you couldn't make this up. This
yeah,
is just
yeah,
insanity.
yeah, and I must say, I do love Ricky Gervais, and I do love Gail Porter. Okay,
Well, I will tell Ricky when I'm doing a thing with one of his one of the people that he works with charity wise on Wednesday. What day is it now? Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday.
today, well, here it's. Oh, you've got me now. It's Tuesday. Yeah, it's Tuesday.
Yeah, no, tonight I'm doing Drag Idol. So because
Oh,
it's Pride Month, so I'm a big advocate for my LGBTQs, everything. So tonight it's Drag Idol, which I'm hosting. I'm
okay.
hosting Wilma Balls Drop.
I don't know.
That's,
Well, no. Wait, what is that a question?
that's her name. She was like, my daughter was like, Mama, did you just get a message from Wilma Balls Drop?
Yes. Yeah.
I went, yeah.
Brilliant.
Mummy's doing
Brilliant.
Drag Idol tonight. She's like, oh, nothing surprises me anymore, Mummy. And I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, that's the joy of the LGBTQIA kind of community is some of the names that the drag artists have. They're almost clever. In fact, they're so clever that they kind of look simple, but they're actually, yeah.
And it's
Brilliant.
actually at the Admiral Duncan. So I don't know if you know the story, but there was that right-winged horrific man who, I think he set off a bomb in Birmingham. Then he went to the Admiral Duncan in Soho, and he sat down in the afternoon. In fact, my friend was there. My friend lost his legs, but
Yeah,
he
yeah,
went there with a bag, and he popped
yeah,
the bag down, and it was a nail bomb. And
yeah.
he
I
said,
remember.
yeah, and then he left, and he left everyone in the Admiral Duncan with a nail bomb, and the Admiral Duncan never shut. They never gave up, and we've been there with them ever since. And they were like, "We're not gonna let any hatred or anything like that bring us down." And I've been with them for 25 years.
Yeah,
Not with them, but, I turn up and I was like, "Woohoo!" They're like, "Yep, Gail's in the room."
yeah. You do love a woohoo. I've noticed you've done that.
"Don't stop me now, I'm having such a good time. Come on, everyone."
With the Glaswegian. Amazing. Listen, thank you so much for giving us your time. It's actually been a genuine pleasure, because I thought that this was going to be one of those things where it's kind of, I ask you questions, you give me answers, and then in 25 minutes we're both looking at the screen going,
No, that doesn't happen.
no, this has been so cool. It's been absolutely amazing. Is
Great.
is your show is your show
Huh?
going to be recorded? Is the hung, drawn, and ported? Is it, or is
No,
it
I
ticket?
don't allow I don't allow people in with cameras or anything like that, because I like it to be organic. But do you know what? If you want me to, I might
Yeah.
I might do one, and then I'll
Well,
send it.
I can't get to see it because I'm unfortunately.
Well, I'll come over to Thailand, and then I'll just do it. Like, I'll do a private show.
Oh, you could do now. Now that, listen, sometime in September, maybe when you've got 10 days free, you could do a.
Or come
Oh,
over to, yeah. And
nice.
yeah. And
Okay.
because I talk a lot about addiction. I talk about all sorts, but make it funny and happy and
Well,
thought provoking, hopefully.
that sounds just what the doctor ordered. Then that sounds perfect. All right.
Perfect. Well, I'll see you in September.
You listen. You're always welcome, and the invitation's open. Yeah.
Perfect. I can't wait, to be honest. That'd be lovely.
Lovely speaking to you today. Thank you so
Lovely
much.
speaking to you. Give my love to everybody that's around and whatever you're up to today.
Oh,
All right.
Thank you, Gail. I really enjoyed the discussion, and Lee. I was
Are you
just
still
really cracking
there?
up. It was
You're
great.
still there.
Yeah, I turned off my camera and muted it, and I was doing stuff in the background. But I was really laughing out loud a lot of times. It was brilliant. Have a great day there. Rest of the day there, and Lee, have a great evening. And
And
we'll
you
look forward
guys
to seeing you out here in person.
Yeah, I
Love
can't wait. We'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.